It's the Gauntlet Podcast. My name is Jason.
My name is Russ.
My name is Dan.
Cool. So, as always, we will jump right into the to the goodness of the show and not waste anyone's time with meaningless banter.
We'll do that in the middle.
Yes, exactly. That's what the middle's for.
All
exactly.
Bantered out.
Yeah. So, Russ, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Studio. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
There are glamorous podcast studio.
There are guitars on the wall, so it does have a studio-esque quality
true.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need some flavored water and you're halfway there.
There are guitars on the wall. There's a futon.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Microphones.
And a dog
computers,
kennel. So,
waveforms.
And it's like 200 degrees in here, so.
Classic recording studio.
Cool. So let's talk about the games we have been playing lately. Russ, what have you been playing?
Well, I'll start with Wednesday, go chronologically. I ran the spillover table Nano World, a game of clones.
Okay.
By Marshall Miller. Dan was in that game with me, so we can kind of talk about it together. It was pretty fun. I think we had a few issues with it, but I'll admit that at least some of the issues were my own issues with not explaining it clearly. And I think I should have probably done like a pre-made scenario instead of trying to do it as an improv, like rotating GM kind of thing.
Oh, you did rotating GMs on it?
Yeah, which is kind of hard to spring on certain people. I know some people like to, be able to like get in the GM zone before doing stuff like that.
Well, and it's kind of hard because there's not really there's not much defined about the setting. So it's kind of hard, like, to GM not knowing, like, because maybe I had a very different idea of what the world of Nano World is.
Yeah, because I think all it said was, like, dystopian future where we're clones working at a company called Nano.
Right.
And so, yeah, dystopian is kind of, depending on who you ask and what aspect you're talking about can be different. So, in the rules, it says to kind of discuss that with your players. But I think we ended up kind of like wasting a lot of time at the beginning, just being like, well, what does this mean? And
right. Instead
of just being able to jump in there.
But so why don't we talk about like what sort of the central conceit of that game is, right?
Oh yeah. So, it's considered a nano game where it fits on like the front and back of an index card.
It's good it's called Nano World.
I know it's very appropriate.
It'd be good to run nano dungeons with, probably.
Yeah.
So nano dungeons. Yeah. That's not a basement. That's a nano dungeon.
That's right.
Watch out.
I'm really happy I got to do that joke, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
You're saving it up since last week?
Yeah, no, since the other day. Yeah, since the other day.
But yeah, so everybody's a clone and you're kind of, the tagline is the day that things go wrong. So, it has questions about what your life is like. Players describe what they do at Nano. And then you kind of jump into like, well, what's happened? What just went wrong kind of thing. And I think instead of just developing it through the questions, which you can do through some apocalypse games, I think this one, especially as like a one shot, would have been better served if I had something prepared that I could have been like, oh, and now this red light's going off. What do you do? And kind of,
more. So I think that may have helped in the very beginning, but I felt like one of the things about the game is because I think it's important to say that like you only have two moves in that game, right?
Yeah.
So you have
something risky and something new.
Right. So anytime you try to do something that you haven't done before, it's a AW style move. So you roll your 2d6. And if you get like a 10 plus, then it's something that all clones can do.
Yeah, if like easily do.
Right.
So
if
you
roll
don't really have to roll for it anymore.
Exactly. And if you roll a 10 minus, a 6 minus, then it's something that no clone can ever do. And so you're like, every time you try to do something new, you're sort of filling it out on this sheet. And if you roll the in between, like the 7 and 9, then it's something risky. And so then you roll like do something risky the next time you have to do it.
Yeah.
But if you roll like a 10 plus, then it's just something you can do. And if you roll a 6 minus, then that's like locked out. You're like locked out of that forever.
Like for ours, that was interacting with humans was impossible for the clones.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't wrap their heads around.
Right. So, and so that really kind of colors the world. So I don't know that you could have really prepared a lot because then all of a sudden it turns out that like in our game, we were really good at murdering humans. We didn't even have to roll for that, but I
believe the term is recycling.
Right, yes. But it was impossible for us to bond with humans. It was impossible for us to pass as humans. So we were basically just like murder bots. No matter what scenario you had come up with, like the die just dictated that we were murder bots. So
kind of like created this negative space of what we were developing.
Well, so I have never played that, but I've always wanted to. It seems really cool. So I know that you have to get a copy of the game, you have to send Marshall a haiku, right?
Yes, $2 in a haiku.
$2 in a haiku. Do you remember
which
your
is
haiku?
the best business model ever? I love that.
Yeah,
It has to be a haiku about clones, right?
Yeah,
Just to
it has
clarify.
to be about clones. Yeah, and he'll. I don't know if he still does it, but he has put quite a few on his website. Fine Mess Publishing, I think, is what it's called.
Cool.
But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed. At first you're kind of like have your consumerist entitlement. You're like, what? I don't want to just give you money and you give me something. What's the holdup? You gotta write stuff, but I actually enjoyed it. It was pretty fun.
So you're dodging the question. Do you remember your haiku?
Yes, I do. It's not fabulous, but let's see. Okay. The others and I, one mind splintered into many. Mighty are we all. I think that adds up.
It's pretty
Close
good.
enough.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
I'm not
I
totally
like it.
sold on haikus as art form, but I enjoy.
Just wait till
doing it.
Warrior Poet. You'll
Yeah.
be sold.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on haikus as a game mechanic. So, yeah.
Give it
We'll
about 2
find
weeks.
out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Okay, cool. So, great. What else have you been up to, Russ?
And then I also played the epic, extravagant strategy opus Twilight Imperium for most of my day on Saturday.
Epic is a good word for it, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a little generous, but I think that's what they're going for.
If your only definition of epic is incredibly long, then yes.
And arduous.
An arduous journey.
Then, bam, you got it.
I was in that. So that was for Mandatory Fun Club. It was Saturday, and
Was it fun?
Mandatorily
it was mandatory fun because you were not going to have natural fun. The only kind of fun you were going to have was the mandatory kind.
Yeah, if you're trying to get by on the game fun, you're going to be waiting around kind of
for a little while,
punching your head in the wall a lot.
Yeah. It was a very long day. We played for about 8 hours. We did not finish.
Yeah, we were in the end game for sure.
Yeah,
but
we were close. Yeah, I had 7 points at the end and you're trying to get 10.
Okay.
But we just threw in the towel. One of the players had to leave because it went much longer than we thought. One of the players had to go, so we just decided to wrap it. I had checked out about 4 or 5 hours before that. Yeah, I totally checked out. I mean, I wasn't checked out. I was still playing and trying to win. And in fact, I did win, but or at least where we called it. But I just,
yeah, you're resigned to the fact that you have to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Twilight Imperium is that it's one of those games where it's kind of an inverted pyramid in terms of the fun. So the wide part of the pyramid equals the inputs. You need to have lots and lots of inputs to get to the narrow part of the pyramid, the little tiny drop of fun that comes out of the other end. It's just kind of not worth it. There's just so many pieces. We had 2 tables. It takes up 2 whole tables. These are dining room sized tables.
Too.
Yeah. And they were totally full with just pieces and ships and plastic cards and just so much stuff. And you can't really the turns take forever. You wait a long time while people are doing their thing. You cannot actually just veg out for a minute, while you're waiting for your turn. You just can't do that because it's a strategy game and you have to be paying attention to everything that's going on and you have to react to things sometimes. And so, I don't know. It's just a very, very exhausting game. Mechanically sound, I have to say.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there were any bad parts.
Pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid game, but just, oh gosh, just not worth the time, sadly. So anyway, it was fun to do. I had a fun time just because I was hanging out with people whose company I enjoy, but it wasn't because of the game. The game itself was quite draining. So
you're not going to start playing it online every weekend now.
I will not be doing that. No, I will not be doing that.
Life as a Imperium person.
No, that's not going to happen. In fact, if anyone needs a gently used copy of Twilight Imperium, I have one for you. It's been played for only 8 hours.
Lovingly played.
Yes, exactly. Very, very gently used. So yeah, Twilight Imperium.
Yeah. It made me want to play a game like that, but without all the crazy time investments and sitting around waiting for stuff to happen.
Yeah. I agree. Cause I liked it. I like it in spirit, but just not in practice. Cool. Anything else?
I played Odyssey, but I don't know if you want to wait, since we all were in that.
That's true. Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and,
we're all in the shit together on that one.
So Dan, tell us about your list.
So, I was also in Nano World, and, besides Odyssey, the only other game I played was, I played Breaking the Ice, and I played this with my wife. It's a 2-player game. It's the first time that she has ever played an RPG.
Nice.
Ooh. So, It's really good. I really enjoyed it. So it's by Emily Caraboss, and one of the things that she wanted to do when she was designing it is it's kind of designed as an intro to role-playing games, as like a game to suck in like people who don't play, right? Because it's 2 players, so it's very like, it's kind of low stress, right? Because you're not going to ruin a whole bunch of people's fun if you're terrible or something like that. All of those fears are basically gone, but it's really good. It's about 2 people who are going on a series of 3 dates, and you're trying to see like if they become closer to each other or drift apart over the course of the 3 dates. It is surprisingly involved, like mechanically. So kind of the way it works. And actually, the first thing that it does that's kind of cool is there's what's called the switch, where you sort of identify like as people, you're like, hey, how are some ways that we're different from each other? And like the most obvious one is probably gender. So that's the one, that's the one that we did. And so then it's like, you play the character who's most like the person you're playing with.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was playing the girl and my wife was playing the boy. Then there's this thing where you're like figuring out like, hey, what's their favorite color? And then from that, you're doing like word association to make this association web coming off of their color. And then you're kind of picking their aspects out of the web.
Okay.
So, so that's good. So it gives you like a lot of creative stuff to do.
That sounds pretty cool.
Before you get into the like, now play this role-playing game.
Right. Yeah.
So it gets you in the right headspace for it. But then like,
you don't have to be an elf or anything, so that's easy.
You do not have to be an elf. No.
Non-RPG
exactly.
people.
Yeah. It's a very easy sell. 'Cause it's like, hey, it's like a romantic comedy movie or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
But then like, as you're doing the dates, you're sort of building up your die pools you start off by like, you're earning dice by, there's sort of a fan mail mechanic. So like if you do something the other person likes, they can just give you a die. Or like if you're like bringing your attributes into play, you're getting dice and then you roll them. But then if you don't get enough successes, then you start having to earn rerolls by doing things that make your character look bad.
Oh, okay.
And so it follows a sort
That's
of interesting arc of
that's
like,
pretty good. Yeah.
Everything's going really good, but then like, oh crap, I didn't roll well enough. And then
did
like,
I mention I'm a Republican?
Boo, hiss.
Yeah.
Ooh. But then like, the final thing you can do is kind of every character also has like a complication that's like what's going to stand in the way of them finding love. And so mine was like, she's an ex-CIA operative. And so she has a bunch of enemies. And so every scene was like, they're going horseback riding and it's like, she looks off behind her date and like El Chapo is there, like riding up the hill. And it's like, okay, we should probably leave. So like, so it alternated between like, very like flirty scenes and then like gunfights. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
A little bit of something for everyone.
Exactly.
Well, what did your wife think of it?
She really liked it. So
that's good.
Yeah. Next step, hopefully, is Final Girl.
I think you get to mark that square on Gauntlet Bingo now, so that's good.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So
is it a long game or it's a short?
It's pretty long. Yeah. It took us 4 hours, but we probably took like an hour's worth of breaks.
Oh yeah.
Through the middle of it. So since it's just like 2 people, we took plenty of breaks and all of that. So, but yeah, cool. Good time.
And was there anything else?
That's it, except for Odyssey.
All right, cool. Well, so I also played Twilight Imperium and Odyssey, Journey and Change, which we'll talk about in a minute. The game unique to me that I played was Havoc Brigade. Havoc Brigade is by Grant Howitt. It is a game in which you play a group of crack orc raiders or something. I don't know. Right. And also a handful of goblins, who are just there for the ride. And you are invading, this human city called Freeburg, in an attempt to capture Prince Theodore Holstein. And boo. We always boo with Prince Theodore Holstein.
As per the rules.
Yeah. Is that in the rules? I think we just made that up.
No, it's in the rules.
Oh, I didn't know that. And so, it's terrific. It is so good. A lot of fun. If you're familiar with Goblin Quest, which is also a Grant Howitt game, it's in that same vein of ridiculous evil humanoids, like doing crazy bonkers things.
Antics.
Antics. Yeah. Really terrific though. Grant Howitt loves games that have opposition that is has health boxes or
success tracks.
Success tracks. Yeah, he's really into that. So this is another one of those things. I feel like his whole game design, impetus is to master the success track. Like, let's figure out the perfect success track.
Which
game.
I honestly don't really love the success track because I feel I feel like it makes pacing weird because all of a sudden you can get a whole lot of successes and then it's like,
it's
this
over.
scene is over.
Yeah.
But
I don't mind it. It seems to, I don't know. I think it's okay.
I feel like as long as you're not trying to do like a serious game where pacing really matters,
critical.
Yeah, it probably doesn't really matter. Like the 6 goblins probably didn't have anything like that was going to change the direction of the game that they were going to do that they're not going to get
so
to
much.
now. So
it's great. It's really cool. It's he has mentioned that one of the big inspirations for the game was Lady Blackbird, and you can see a little bit of Lady Blackbird's fingerprints all over it because you have like predetermined characters. They all have like, you know, it is a predetermined character with predetermined, you know, attributes and so whenever you play it, you always play those people.
Right. And they're all really good.
Yeah,
too.
They're great. Yeah, each one of them is so good.
Really
like
colorful.
Colorful and humorous and just really terrific. So it's super
it's the
fast.
same because you're kind of building the dice pool, right?
That is the one where, so you basically have like lists of like traits and gear with like checkboxes that you can mark off. He loves checkboxes.
That's true. Yeah.
Grant Howard is a fan of checkboxes, with all little checkboxes. And as you use things, as you use it, you get a die for it, right? But once you've checked it all off, it's gone, right? But you can scavenge a scene to like get new things, to add to your gear, which is kind of cool. And the gear doesn't have to be just like, weapons and items. It can also be like people or, you know, or like dangerous plans, you know, that you find that you scavenge or whatever. So it's pretty cool. A lot of fun. Everybody had a great time. Just good laughs and, good game. Really solid. So that just leaves, Odyssey, Journey and Change. Dan, you facilitated this one. Why don't you set it up for us?
All right. So Odyssey, Journey and Change. This was a game that was done through like Indiegogo or something a while back. It's Will Hindmarch. And the general idea is that you all have characters and they're sort of defined by these characteristics that are like, maybe I am a bold adventurer or something like that, or a sneaky thief or something. And so you have about 6 of these characteristics. And then, it's kind of a sequence of challenges. There's not really a set turn order or anything. Like one player will become the challenging player and, you've all written lists of possible challenges that you want to see because you've had a conversation before you start about like, this is the setting we're playing in. And so everybody kind of has ideas about like, well, these are things that would be cool to see in this setting. Like we're going from point A to point B. We're going to, this temple in the middle of this lost island, right? With dinosaurs on it. So everybody writes things like T-Rex attacks or something like that as possible things they want to see happen. And so then, the challenging player will just read one of these challenges essentially and set it up. And then they pick somebody to be in danger. And then there's like a very simple mechanic to see like how well they get out of the danger.
Simple is, very apt word.
Yeah.
Mechanic, yes.
It's basically, you know, there's 2 dice that represent the level of challenge and you roll 2 dice and see if you exceed it or not. And depending on how you roll, you will either like lose traits or gain traits. And so if you are a bold adventurer, maybe you cross out bold and you're just an adventurer now. Or maybe you're a bold, help me out here. Something else adventurer.
Or you just erased adventurer and now you're just bold.
Right, yeah, something like that. Or I was looking for an example of adding a trait.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Like bold
adventurer, pugilist,
inveterate adventurer. I don't know.
Right, yeah. So anyway, like your characteristics can grow and shrink as you go on. So, interesting idea. I don't think anyone really loved it when we were playing, though.
Yeah, I like the idea of, you know, your characters undergo this change and they're on this journey and then they're changed by the end, but.
Right. And I mean, that's really the goal of a lot of games, right? Is to see character growth and all of that. And so this kind of mechanizes it, which ideally should work really well, but it happens so fast that it doesn't feel like you earn it.
It's not a profound change. It's just like mandatory change.
Yeah. And also that. Yeah. So, because in a lot of cases, you're changing like 3 things on your character sheet as a result of a single challenge, right? And so, like, you don't even have time to like really come to terms with who your character is before you're like erasing more stuff off the character sheet and adding new things. And like, I mean, my character underwent a hell of a lot of change, but never felt like it was organic. It just felt like things I was doing. Like,
yeah, it was not very good. I kind of liked I liked the concept of the game. Like you guys said, like it was an interesting idea. It just didn't, the part of the problem, there's very little role playing. That's an issue.
That's
for me.
true.
Yeah. There's almost no role playing. It's just a sequence of like, of conflicts and challenges, and you immediately go straight to resolving it. Like there's no like, I guess you can request like interlude scenes, but didn't you say in the 144 page book that's like 2 sentences, like them describing it? Yeah,
it's a very brief thing. Like maybe you can do this, but it never comes up in like the example of play or anything like that.
Right?
So it's clearly not where the focus is.
It was an afterthought. Yeah. I mean, because it's just, and it sounds like maybe somebody said, "Hey, there's no role playing in this," and so they just do something in there. I mean, there's no role playing at all, so that was weird. And I guess you're right. Like the changes just happened. So like in 5 minutes, my character went from being a drug fueled ritualist to just being a ritualist, and then to being not that at all. Like it was just strange. And like you add things and take away things. And so the change just feels kind of meaningless. Like it just doesn't have any, it has like no meaning. And especially because you're not role playing either. So you're just, it's bizarre.
Well, it seems weird too. Cause like if you're supposed to be having this character change, what is being attacked by a poisonous spider? How does that like develop your character in any way?
Right.
Like, because you got injected with venom or something.
Arachnophobic adventurer now or something. I mean, I guess, but like, is that interesting? I mean, I don't know.
I don't
know. Well, and also like you're supposed to like work those traits into like how you respond to the problems. Like, so you're,
if possible. Yeah.
But the thing is like, what's the difference between an adventurer and a bold adventurer?
Exactly.
There's not much difference, right? I mean, so I don't know.
And so that's the thing, like, thinking about that game and thinking about other games that have like kind of explored similar territory. One of them that I love is Misspent Youth.
Right.
Where that kind of follows the same arc where like your character is defined by like these 6 things, and throughout the course of the game, maybe one of them will flip. But I think the big difference there is that 1, there's a lot of role playing in that game.
Right.
So you really see these characters in action and you see the traits. And like 2, the traits change much more slowly. So maybe over the course of a game, of a session of Misspent Youth, like, throughout all of the characters, there'll be like, maybe 3 attributes will change.
Yeah.
But, you have more time to like hang out with these characters and really like see them in action.
Right. Yeah.
And also the changes are always substantial. So in Misspent Youth, when you're setting up, like you pick what your things are, your attributes. And like, so one of them would be like tough. Maybe like your advantage is tough. And then when you sell out, you become like sadistic or something, right?
Right.
And so that's a very big change to how you play your character. But like you said, changing from a bold adventurer to just a regular adventurer is not nearly such a huge change in your personality.
Yeah.
So,
well, and things that you could like, I'm sorry, Russ, go ahead. Okay.
I was just going to say, it seems like that is an actual change too. Cause like in the Odyssey, you remove or subtract, which doesn't, like you're saying, like a bold adventure to adventurer, that's not really a change in any meaningful way.
Right. Yeah. It's
Where
essentially like knocking off a hit point or something.
Right.
Using
adjectives as hit points.
Well, and the only way you could make the adjectives like, you can make the adjectives more interesting. I was trying to do that, like, like being an eccentric, like physicist or or a drug fueled this or that. Like I was trying to make them like things where like, okay, here's kind of a weird, odd thing, but the thing is because there's no role playing, you don't really get a chance to like, even like
to see that in action.
Yeah. So like I had made my character very much for like, I think it was pretty obvious, like where I wanted my character to go just from the traits I made them, right? But that just did not come out in the game. Like it was impossible to make it happen in the game. And, so I don't know. The only way I would like defend, I did not care for the game. It just was not, I didn't care for it. It wasn't doing anything for me. But, I guess the only way I'd kind of defend it or like maybe see some value in it is for people who have possibly never ever played a role playing game and they have like maybe like this is real like entry level stuff, like maybe like kids even like,
if
you had like some little kids and you're trying to teach them like about like storytelling and
Right.
like, narrating action. Like,
Guess that would-
That's true, because it is very easy. So
Yeah, it's super
mechanics
easy.
it's pick a thing off this list. Now that's happening. Now
Right.
how do you deal with that?
Right.
And then, okay, great. Now somebody else picks a thing off another
right,
list.
yeah,
So,
and you're rolling 2d6 versus 2d6, and like, I
Right.
mean, simplistic is really what it was. So I could see maybe like if you were like, you're playing with a bunch of like 10-year-olds and you want to like kind of show them like a different kind of, type of game or whatever, maybe they'd be into it. But, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's my feelings on it too.
Yeah.
Kind of meh
Yeah.
in general. So
Yeah. So anyway, Odyssey, Journey and Change. I hate ending the segment on that, but oh well.
it's true. Yeah.
How it goes
It's kind of a bummer.
sometimes.
Yeah. Twilight Imperium. No.
Breaking the Ice is really good.
Yeah.
Havoc Brigade.
Havoc Brigade.
There you
Awesome. Nano World. Cool.
Yay.
Right.
All right. Great. Let's go to the next segment. This is giving me life. Sorry. I'm trying out the new intro on every part.
The new intro.
Do you hate the new intro? Okay. This is giving me life. This is where we talk about things that are not related to role-playing games, except when they are related to role-playing games.
Right.
But this week we are not breaking the rule. So I'll start. The thing giving me this life this week, well, big picture. A number of weeks ago, one of my give me life things was anticipating things, like things I was really looking forward to.
Right.
Well, most of that stuff is here, and I'm really excited.
right around the corner.
Or right around the corner. Yeah, it's either upon us or it's almost here.
So is it everything you thought it would be?
Well, so Bloodborne's tomorrow. Oh, Bloodborne wasn't even one of them. No, so I guess I'm still waiting on Game of Thrones and Mortal Kombat, but RuPaul's Drag Race is here. RuPaul's Drag Race season 7, and I think that's what's giving me life this week. It's very good. The show just keeps getting better and better, honestly. Like every season, they just get more and more, I don't know, like they just keep improving the formula to me.
So
How far into it are they?
We just had the 4th episode.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I know this is going to be hard to believe, but pretend I've never seen an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race and
Okay.
explain to me what this show
Get
is.
on your imagination cap.
all right, here we
Right.
go. RuPaul's Drag Race is a TV show. It's a reality contest, reality competition TV show in which 14 drag queens, actual drag queens from across the land.
Not imitation drag
No,
queens.
no, and not just from LA and New York either. They get them from like Iowa and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, exotic lands.
Oh yes, yeah. So 14 drag queens from across the land, all converge on West Hollywood or Burbank or wherever the hell they shoot the show. And it's a reality competition. And basically what it is it consists of a series of like, every episode there's a mini challenge. And then the mini challenge like has some bearing on the big challenge of the episode, right? In terms of like whoever wins the mini challenge usually gets some kind of advantage in the bigger challenge, right?
Right.
The challenges all revolve around, so the drag queens are each trying to prove their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
Oh, that's
This sounds like a role-playing game.
Right.
This sounds like a character sheet in a
Make it
role-playing
happen, yeah.
game.
But I'll say it again. Their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Their C-U-N-T.
Oh, there it was.
So they're trying to do that. They do it via, their aesthetic. Sometimes they have to do acting challenges or lip syncing challenges. At the end of the episode, like the 2 people who do the most poorly have to lip sync for their lives. So they do this
Like head to head kind of?
yeah, it's like a
Or-
little head to head like lip sync competition.
Nice.
And RuPaul like judges all of it. And so she sends one of them home. And then, the next week, they whittle them down till they get down to the final 3.
I thought they had a panel of judges. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
not true?
well they do have a panel of judges, but RuPaul always makes the decision.
Oh, yeah, the head judge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I
makes
see.
the decision. She just gets input from the other judges.
So RuPaul is the
Suggestions.
Donald Trump of drag queens.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so, I think the reason why I love the show so much though is because, what drag queens do is really hard. Like what they have to do is really kind of really, really something. I mean, and it's a little depressing if you think about like I don't know how much you know about drag queens, but
Pretend I don't know a lot about drag queens.
I will. So, most drag queens, like the vast, vast, vast majority of drag queens, their whole like quote unquote drag career is just like going to the club on Friday and Saturday night and like doing lip syncs and just like, or maybe hosting shows and just making like tips. And they might make like a good night might be like $100, but like they have to put in hours and hours of effort to make their illusion. Right. And some of them like spend their whole like, young adult lives, like creating their character, like their very like unusual character. One of the winners, like the season 4 winner, her name was Sharon Needles. And Sharon Needles was
that took me a minute.
it always does. Yeah, it took me a whole season. But she was like kind of her character was like kind of was originally a prostitute character, but she eventually turned it into like this like scary like Elvira goth spooky queen thing, you know, like so like a lot of the queens like have these like characters, and they're just really they're just so dedicated to their craft, and like you're just so like mind blown by it, but they live in like basically like abject poverty, like in their real lives, you know, like they have this illusion of like, you know, being like these amazing entertainers or whatever, and a lot of them are, but at the end of the day, they're really just kind of scraping by for the love of their craft. And so Drag Race is like just being on Drag Race is like them making it, you know, like once you hit Drag Race, like you've made it as a drag queen, right? So it's kind of fun to like just see them like living out
what is the final
dreams,
prize?
you know? It's $100,000 and a lifetime supply of makeup.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. It's worth
that
as
seems
much.
pretty worth it. Yeah. So it's just great. It's an awesome show. And this season I'm really into like the Reddit aspects of it, because it has a subreddit that is like it's like the Nancy Drew subreddit. Like,
is this as good as like the Serial subreddit?
Well, I didn't follow the Serial one as closely as you did, I don't think. But the Drag Race subreddit, like, these people are ferocious, like they're just so hungry for details, and like they will scour the internet, they'll like hack into things, like they're trying to leak episodes, they're trying to figure shit out, you know, like
this
they want to figure
like
it out.
The same people from the Serial subreddit just switched over drag queen
to the Drag Race subreddit. So that whole aspect of it's kind of fun, like just these people who are just so like, you know, ravenously, you know, like want to know, you know, like they can't even wait a day, you know, like cause someone in Bahrain leaked this next episode. So let's, you know, like let's someone get a rip of it and like download it. And I'm going to stream it at 7:00, you know, like that kind of thing. So that's all kind of fun.
So is it the same like in reality TV where they all live together and part of it is like the people having to like interact with the different...
You don't see any of that. Okay. It's all the competition.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's all the competition. I mean, they obviously have their drama and stuff, but a lot of it's a little bit like, you get the feeling that the editors and the producers are kind of like, kind of making that happen, right?
Size it a little.
But no, it's purely the competition. Like there's no, back at the hotel or anything like that, right? So yeah, that's cool. It's fun.
Cool.
Good show. Love it. So RuPaul was awesome. I thought you were going to do your Henry Rollins story.
We've already like got enough RuPaul material, right?
Dan said he had a story about Henry Rollins and RuPaul,
but it's not very interesting. It's just like, hey,
they're
I was
friends.
listening to a podcast, and it turns out that Henry Rollins
collaborated.
RuPaul.
No, they're super good friends. Yeah. All right, cool, awesome.
Did you know that RuPaul and Henry Rollins collaborated on a version of Funky Town?
I did not know that.
It was a cover of Funky Town. It was never released.
Was it like punk version or like dance electronic version?
So I heard like a snippet of it and it just kind of sounded like Funky Town. I don't know. Okay. I'm not an expert at Funky Town. So.
No, they're like super good friends. Like it's kind of a weird, like, cause he's on the show sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. As a judge. It's always weird. It's like, is that Henry Rollins? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So he has something where he just like drives people around in his car or something.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a little web show.
Essentially,
Ru
right.
does,
Like the thing that Jerry Seinfeld does.
Right.
And so I watched one where he was like, trying to convince Henry Rollins to open up and find love.
Right. Nice.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, the RuPaul podcast is very good too, by the way. Very good podcast. So RuPaul listeners.
Nice.
Cool. Russ, what's giving you life?
It probably sounds pretty pretentious, but I'll say it anyway. The written word. And I just mean that more than just reading, because like I said, I wrote the haiku, and you know, just besides books, I've been reading the Swords Without Master, which are kind of a mix of short stories.
Worlds Without Master.
Worlds Without Master. And those are pretty good. I mean, it's interesting, you know, seeing different kinds, like books versus short stories. And like, it seems like a short story would be easier. And I guess in some ways it probably is. But, you know, you still have to be able to like have a comprehensible story within 6 pages or whatever. So I think it is different. It's kind of interesting to see different aspects of that.
So how is the stuff in Worlds Without Master? Because I just signed up for that Patreon.
Just to clarify, I have them all. Just to clarify, just so listeners understand, like Worlds Without Master is Epidiah Ravishal or Epidiah Ravishal's. We're never gonna get this guy's name.
I think
right?
It's Epidiah because like one of his social media things is Epidiah Wolf. So I think it's Epidiah.
Clever. Okay.
Very good. Very good.
Powers of Deduction.
It's Epidiah Ravishal's. Like it's an anthology of just stories
like
and sometimes games. Yeah.
Right.
Is what he calls it.
Yeah. I think Vincent Baker's written in it and some other people.
they've had,
he has
I
a
think
lot of
Emily
guest authors.
Carboss has also done something.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
A lot of European friends, I guess, of his.
So, reading is giving you life?
Well, like I said, it's a little more than just reading, but that is a large part of it. I read, as part of the Apocalypse reading I read one called Oryx and Crake, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that's by that's Margaret Atwood,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And that's kind of
I do
like,
actually read, as it turns out.
occasionally.
That's just a joke,
despite
listeners.
the jihad on reading that you've announced. But yeah, that one was really good. I liked it. She's a good writer. I think one thing, like, literature type people like to do is not just throw everything out there in exposition. So you kind of have to like piece the threads together yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Which can be a bad thing, or it can be enjoyable depending on how well it's done. But yeah, just that in general. They have a cool thing in Worlds Without Master besides the stories and the games. At the end of every episode, they have like dice charts of
issue at the end of every issue.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said episode.
Episode.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
Sorry,
at
just
every
keeping
end
you
of,
honest, keeping you honest.
Yeah. At the end of every PDF file, they have a little, dice roll matrix where it has like fragments of ideas. Like one issue was places. I think another one was like situations or something. But it's kind of fun, just, I've been rolling on there and trying to like write a little story about it, which is kind of fun. They're kind of junky, but it's fun to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one of the newest one, I think, is like ways to get killed by the Silent Emperor or something, which is kind of great.
Because of the Invisible Empire edition.
Right.
Or oh, god damn it.
Yeah, the game that's in that is Invisible Empire,
which we're playing soon. Yeah.
But they have a big table in the back of like, if you displease the Invisible or the Silent Emperor, here's all of the ways he could kill you.
Yeah.
So,
no, that Worlds Without Master
It's
thing is
whim.
it's a good, like, it's a pretty good deal. It's like, I think it's like what, $4 or $5 for each one.
Yeah, I think if you buy it, it's $5.
I think it's like $6 if you just buy them individually, but it's like $4 through the Patreon.
Yeah. And but you get like all the cool stories. They usually have a game.
Yeah.
I mean, Swords Without Master was in there,
Right.
and some other ones. So, yeah, pretty cool. It's pretty, I like that.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I like it. Enjoy it.
Cool. Awesome. Dan, what's giving you life?
This week, what's been giving me life is I've really been appreciating the lengths that people will go to like make stupid jokes really funny.
Okay.
So I have a fine appreciation for really stupid jokes.
Okay.
And but it's not really the joke, right? Because like one of the things that I kickstarted this week was for $6 you get a one-time use. It's called the Gentleman's Single-Use Monocle.
Oh yeah, that's the one that's in the condom.
Exactly, yeah. So it looks like a condom, and so like you tear open the package, and there's a monocle inside.
Nice.
And so
Nice.
it's the dumbest idea
Oh yeah,
ever.
that's very dumb.
But
Yeah.
like,
Gimmicky.
I really love the fact that someone committed to it enough to actually get all this stuff sourced and like get it manufactured and make a Kickstarter for it and make a ridiculously like intricate Victorian Kickstarter video.
Imagine
for
being
all
in
of
that
this.
brainstorming session.
Oh, yeah.
What's your idea? We put a monocle in a condom wrapper.
Brilliant.
Get out of here.
But,
Get out of here, you.
But that thing's like edging up on $100,000 on the Kickstarter.
Whoa,
so
whoa.
yeah,
Take
not
it
a
all
bad
back.
idea. And actually, the guy who made that is Zach Wienersmith, who does Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal. It's a webcomic.
Who also has a very funny last name. Can we
hilarious
just
name,
throw that out there? Yeah.
So, I mean, a man born for comedy.
Indeed.
But one of the things he also has done is he kind of like spurred the creation of this academic sort of festival. It's called BA Fest, which stands for Bad Ad Hoc Hypotheses.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like a bunch of scientists who get together and like make up very intricately sourced and researched hypotheses that are clearly wrong. So
right. Yeah.
things like fish are stupid because if they were smarter, they would realize how shitty their lives are. So it's like an evolutionary advantage for fish to be stupid. And
That's
things
pretty
like
good. I like that.
babies are like shaped like footballs so they could be punted from village to village to spread human genes faster. And like it's full of charts and references and all of this. So just amazing. People taking real stupid ideas to like the absolute extremes and making them hilarious. So
Nice.
that's it. That's what's giving me life.
Cool. Love it. All right. Well, let's go to the topic. So for our topic today, we wanted to talk about role-playing games that fit on one page, inspired somewhat by Nano World, which actually is on a
Yeah, I believe it's
a business card.
Business
right?
card, yeah.
That's very
$2 on a haiku for a business card.
Oh yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the actual cards. He's sending them to me. And the print version is a full page, so it just looks like super huge font.
Nice. So we wanted to talk about one-page role-playing games. Obviously, there's no like deep mechanical excursion this week, and that was kind of that's kind of what I wanted. A little break from the mechanic talk.
Sure. Yeah.
The mechanics talk. Man, I really like one-page role-playing games. I'm really into them. I don't know if it's just because of the way we organize and run games in the Gauntlet, but sometimes it's really, really nice to just have a game you can very quickly get to the table, right? Because it's on a single page, you know, like you can read that sucker really fast. Everyone can read the rules, like, you know, right then on the spot and just get right to it.
It's like you're cramming for finals or something.
Right. Like yeah. I mean, but I do think that, the very best one-page role-playing games do tend to share a couple of qualities, and that might be worth discussing. But I think, you know, we're gonna go through some one-page games that we've each kind of, selected to talk about. And we are going to put, links, in the G+ post this week, for all of the games we discuss. So that if you want to go check these out yourself, they're often free. So, you know, if you want to go just download a bunch of, you know, cool little things you've never heard of before, like we're going to keep those links for you up there, and you can go do that. Well, so Russ, you know, you played Nano World. I guess that is a one-page role-playing game, an index card role-playing game. And why don't you kind of kick off the subject a little bit, since you
that one it does have like a second page that's kind of like a extension splat page, but we didn't use that one.
A second business card, right?
Oh, there's two business cards. Oh, okay.
One is like I think it's designed if you're playing for like one or, you know, not as many people, because it's like, oh, your clone is like the one that wakes up and realizes that he's different or whatever. So
right, yeah.
But I mean, this one I think it had a lot of typical aspects of one page RPGs where you can tell to like fit it onto the one page, they had to like shave off a lot of stuff, and like everything you're shaving, you have to ask yourself, you know, like, is this necessary, or can people kind of figure it out?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that was one issue we had with it too, starting off, was there some wording that kind of is a little unclear, like all the clones are exactly the same, but so do they have the exact same stats? I mean, they obviously have the same stats, but do they have the same like +1
ability
for this
scores,
stat?
yeah, and all that, yeah.
Which, we were kind of on the fence about whether all clones should just be exactly the same, or if clones could, you know, ostensibly be individualized for specific tasks kind of thing. But yeah, I like it one-page RPGs because they're ideally concise. So you should be able to, you know, kind of get the hang of it pretty easily. This one was powered by the apocalypse, so it had a lot of familiar language.
Right.
I think if you jumped into it without knowing that, it would be...
It's 2 moves were powered by the apocalypse.
Yeah, basically. The core mechanic of rolling dice and high, low, middle.
High, middle result, high result, middle result, low result, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, I think you hit on something really cool there, which is this idea that in a one-page role-playing game, like, it can be a little sink or swim, I think. You know, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the very best ones tend to, this is the point that Dan made the other day, and it's a good one. I'm going to steal it on the cast.
Great. That'll give me a lot to say later, I guess.
Well, you can say it. What was the point? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So we'll also see. So it's a good thing I'm bringing it up. So, this idea that, you know, I think the very best one-page role-playing games, like they have to have like really concise rule set, but they don't just give you like a nice concise rule set, functional rule set, hopefully, but they also like kind of give you some story hooks, right?
Yeah,
they give you some hooks to like get your story going. And, I happen to think that John Harper does this the best in these like very, very short form games.
Yeah, he has several on his website as well.
Right. Yeah.
And like there's one that's, you know, talked about as one of the best ones. I think they're all pretty good on all the ones that he's done, called Ghost Echo. And if you actually look at it, it's like you're saying, like the front page of that is like mostly picture and story hooks. So you're like, what are you doing? Wasting all this space with pictures?
With pictures, I know. Yeah.
But it actually does. Yeah. It gives you like a good hook to like get your character and situations set up appropriately.
Well, and so I think one of the things that, like John Harper specifically is really good at is there's not a whole lot there necessarily, but what is there is super evocative.
Right.
And so like he leaves a lot of really big holes, but like the language he uses is
Right,
like
exactly
enough to sort of give you the idea of where you should be going with it, and like setting the tone really well.
I've looked. I haven't played Ghost Echo myself. I don't think any of us have.
No.
But I've looked at it probably 10 times because it's so fast. You
Right.
can look at it really quickly. I've looked at it a bunch, and with the anticipating that we'll play it at some point. And one of the things that it's really interesting about it is he does not give you a whole lot to work with. Like there's just a few like little keywords, I guess, and like a real like skeletal like
the first time you look at it, you're just like, what is this?
What
It's
is
just
this?
like words on a page.
Right. Yeah. Like it's a very, very like, I mean, it's just a skeleton of like what your story might be about. Right.
Right.
But but every time I look at it, I have like 4 or 5 different ideas of like what I could do with it.
Right.
I'm like, well, I could totally like do this, or I could make a story like this. Yeah. And so I think that's what you were kind of getting at, right?
Yeah,
like he gives you like just enough, I mean, I think you probably have to be a somewhat creative person to like kind of get it going, but
sure. Yeah.
But I mean, but assuming, setting that aside, like, assuming that if you're in this hobby, you're probably pretty creative. It's just enough. It's cool. Yeah. John Harper games are great. I suspect we're going to talk about several.
Yeah. Right.
I have a feeling because, the one I wanted to talk about is a John Harper game as well.
Well, and so why don't we talk about that? Because that's, you're talking about Lasers and Feelings, right?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that has like, just straight up a table full of plot hooks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great. Yeah. I mean, it's, so Lasers and Feelings is a game about, it's basically just like camp sci-fi, right? It's like 1950s retro
Star Trek.
Yeah, retro kind of sci-fi. And you're all like crew members on a ship. And, we played it a bunch. We probably played it 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah.
And, it's great. It's so good. Like it's a super clean rule set. You don't even need index cards or character sheets. Like
that one's
it's
just
all
one
on that
page front, right? It's not front and back. It's just front.
It's one page front, and you can do the whole thing on that page. You don't really have to write anything down. I mean, I guess maybe an index card would be helpful, but you can kind of just scribble on the margin if you had to. I mean, everything is right there. But yeah, you're right. It actually comes with these like tables, like just a few little tables where you roll some dice and to learn that your adventure is going to be about, an ancient space artifact that is being pursued by Emperor Zaxor, and that kind of thing, right? And it's just enough to kind of get you going. And so I think, I think the very best one-page games or nano games, if you want to call it, I think they do that. Yeah. That's one of the things they do. And John Harper's really good at it.
So, well, I guess like Ghost Echo might be sort of a counterpoint to this, but also I feel that maybe one of the reasons you like them is because they kind of tend to lean pretty heavily toward tropes. Because if you only have a page to explain stuff, you're probably not going to make things super complicated and unique. Because, you need something that everyone can latch onto immediately. Really fast.
Yep.
You don't have 30 pages for setting. So if you can't do that, if you can't make the setting in like the quarter of a page or whatever that you might be able to devote to it, then you have to basically just use tropes to fill in the rest of it.
Right,
exactly. Yeah, because like in Lasers and Feelings, it's what one's like captain, and then you can be like a daredevil kind of captain, or like a more
the engineer. There's all the classic, things.
Classic stuff. Yeah.
The engineer, the scientist, the captain,
the android.
Right, the android. Yeah. We've always had a lot of fun with that. Listeners, if you pick up Lasers and Feelings, it's free. If you pick it up, and for one thing, you will notice right away, beautiful like typography and layout, and like the color scheme. Like it's just this really like kind of retro shade of blue. It looks great. And also worth pointing out about Lasers and Feelings, you can actually play it GM-less. It calls for a GM. It works just fine without it. Like you do not need a GM. And because that's another advantage of one-page games, you can kind of if a one-page game like assumes a GM or something, you can kind of get rid of the GM because everyone can read the everyone can read the page.
Like doing a rotating GM.
Sorry. Rotating. Yeah, you can do it rotating GM. Like, you don't have to have like just one person in charge of it all because there's nothing to be in charge of.
Well, I think it works really well in Lasers and Feelings too, because it has on that chart you generate like what the adventure is about, so everybody knows like where you're eventually trying to get to.
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
It's not like where one person's writing one story and somebody else is like doing their own story.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've just always had a lot of fun with it. We've always done it that way. We've always done it with the rotating GM, and it's quite good. Cool. Well, so do we want to keep going with John Harper games? Or I think those are.
I think he has quite a few. Like if you're interested,
there's a bunch.
Go to his website and you can find a bunch of them.
Yeah, we'll post the link. He's got a bunch. I think Mustang is one page.
Yeah,
right?
that one's like the Western kind of. And then,
right.
Ghost Lines, right? Is that one page?
No, well, so he's got a number of games that are also just very short form. Like there may not be one page, but they're awfully short.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what he does, which is really great. Like I feel like we're just filleting John Harper the whole
John
episode.
Harper.
Yeah, I know, but like, I hope you're enjoying this, John Harper. I know I am. The thing about it is like, one of the things that he does is really great that some of the other, designers of games maybe don't do so great is, his layout and graphic design is so cool. It's so freaking good. And so each one of these pages, these single 1-page games seems so much more like high quality and like so much more effort was put into it. So it almost makes that, it makes this like single page product seem like it was like just so like lovingly dealt with and so much time was spent on it. And I'm sure it was, but like it's just, it definitely like it seems like quality, right?
Yeah,
it just really seems like quality and that really, really shines through. And you're already like, gosh, this looks so good. I'm ready for a quality experience.
Well, I think with short games too, like if it looks shitty and it was short, you just be like, well, did you do this in 5 minutes?
Right,
like what is the point of like, should I even be bothering with this?
Yeah. And whether that's a fair sentiment or not,
the
fact that John Harper has such nice graphics and art, like it helps avoid that. Right? Yeah. So that's a cool thing. So John Harper games, I'll make sure we put the link to his, he definitely needs our money because he does not currently have a $100,000 Kickstarter going on right
like
now,
halfway through. Right?
Yeah. I know. It's still got like 20 days.
But so I feel like the fact that I've gotten so much use out of his free games made me better able to justify spending a ridiculous amount of money on his Kickstarter.
I went big on Kickstarter. Yeah, I did too. I went big on that one.
And like his ratios of backers to pledge amounts
everybody wins
huge.
High.
Everyone was pledging
high.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's he's done it right. I mean, he's really approached. I think he's approached his goals and his sort of like design, sort of like philosophy, like in the right way. I mean, which is like, you can tell he really appreciates the people who are fans of his work. And, because he has generously put a lot of time into these like free games, like you naturally want to pay him back, right? Yeah. You want to like pay him back. And so I think he's reaping the rewards of that right now. So, and that's great. I think it's awesome. Cool. Dan, did you have any games you wanted to shout out?
So thinking about like 1-page games that I've played, I think probably the one that I have the most feeling for is Everyone is John.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the classic example of our GM wasn't ready for our D&D game tonight. Yeah. So now what can we do?
Right,
so it was like the filler game in my like trad gaming group. But the good thing about it is, well, let me set the scene, I guess. There's a GM who's playing a guy named John who's crazy and has voices in his head that all have different goals that they're trying to make him accomplish. And so all of the players are a different voice inside his head. And whenever he goes to sleep or accomplishes one of his goals, then there's like a bid, all the players bid to take control of him to try and like get control of him to accomplish their goal until like he's like really easily bored. And so anytime that he's not engaged for like 10 minutes, he falls asleep again. And like this whole thing happens over again. But it's really good because it plays really short. And it's super low stakes, especially like if you're bringing it to a traditional gaming group. It's so much easier than trying to be like, well, why don't you run D&D for us tonight, right?
Right.
So it's something that kind of everybody can do. And in the groups that I played it in, it was always sort of a thing where like, well, here's some guys who never have tried running a game before. But like this game is so easy to run that like even they'll do it. And so it's
even dumb trad players can handle it.
I would say even people who aren't like willing to take on the responsibility of running a traditional game, which as we have all said in the past is a huge amount of responsibility.
It's a huge undertaking indeed.
Yeah. But this is like super light and super fun and anyone can run it. So Everyone's John. It's awesome.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah. I've actually never played that. That's one of those, there's like, there's like these games you hear about that are like, you just hear about them and you know about them, but just for whatever reason, you never get to play them.
Right.
That's definitely one of those for me. I'd like to, I guess we've never been in the situation of like, what are we going to do tonight, guys? But But
here's
here's
here's the secret about Everyone is John is that it's honestly probably not a very good game.
Okay,
I don't think we would enjoy it nearly as much as I did back in the day when I actually played it, because it was like, well, this is such a strange thing. Like, we're playing a dude he's just a dude in Minneapolis, and like he's just doing his everyday life, and so that was like really novel, right?
I think it'd be really great if the game involved everyone just sitting around a darkened table with like a bell in the middle of it, and periodically someone like takes a little gong and rings the bell and says, "I am John," and the next person goes.
Yeah, that sounds good. Wow.
I want to play that version of the game. So, all right. Cool. Well, so I guess, you know, the one thing I wanted to mention that, I've been, you know, when I was doing my research for these, one-page games, I had actually heard about these people, or this company, or I guess it's just one guy, on Gencast actually, but, then I remembered that, so I was checking the stuff out. Ray Otis, who I believe is a listener as well. Ray Otis, has a company called Jellysaw, and he's made, a number of, one-page role-playing games and which you can find on his site. And I think they're all, they're either pay what you want or donate what you want, I think, you know, so, if, you know, people should check those out and definitely kick over a few bucks. He's got some really cool ideas in there, I have to say. So he has one called Sorcerers and Sellswords, which is just a skin, of Lasers and Feelings. So that looks pretty cool. And we've actually put that on the calendar. We're going to play that soon. A couple of other ones that I wanted to kind of mention that I thought were pretty cool. He's got one called Pyramid, which is, it seems like kind of a pretty simple game, but I like the premise, where basically you are a team, and I'm just reading the blurb here, a team of genetically altered deep sea specialists, surveying near some hydrothermal vents. You discover a massive pyramid rising up from the ocean floor, and you work together to solve the mystery. I kind of just generally love games like this. I love games where there's a mystery.
Right.
And you sort of like organically figure it out as a group, you know? I like Society of Dreamers and Cyrun. We've said that 100 times. This game seems to have that kind of vibe. And, and I dig that a lot. So like, or Ocean, right? Like,
right.
Like it, I'm really into that just as a gaming concept. And so Pyramid looks pretty cool to me. So that's one that people might want to check out. And then he's got another one, which I don't know as much about, but it's called, I'm going to say this wrong. Rishushim 3113, where basically you play a 50-foot tall robot suddenly reactivated after centuries of oblivion. All the humans are gone. The world is changed beyond recognition. What happened to you? What happened to the earth? And what happened to your creators? Again, it's another one of these things where you're working together to answer these questions, right? And you kind of come up with the answers organically. So I love that. I like that. I just like that style of role-playing game. I like that style of mystery game.
It feels like that's probably a good fit for a one-page RPG too, since you don't have to define all of that.
Exactly. Like,
you're playing to find out what the rest of the pages would say.
Yeah, I don't know if Ray like thought of that specifically, but man, it was, or maybe it's just a subconscious insight or whatever. But you're right. Like that's like, or maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, just exactly like you don't have a lot of room to say what it is. Let's use the game to figure out what it is. So that's pretty cool. So Jellysaw games, there's several games on there. They all look pretty cool. So we'll put those up in the notes. I have not played any of them yet though, so I can't speak to that, but we are going to play Sorcerers and Sellswords very soon. And maybe that Pyramid thing too, because that one seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Intriguing. Well, I think that was a nice ramble about one-page role-playing games. There are a bunch. I mean, I think I might even in the comments, I might even post like, because there are so many, and like there's so many good ones that we've played.
There's a lot of short-form ones too, like
not quite one page.
How wiggly or one-page RPG.
Right. Yeah. There's tons of them. I think I'll probably post some links up in the comments just for things for people to check out, because I think a lot of our listeners would appreciate that. I know a lot of our Gauntlet members would appreciate it, because I often get asked that by our face-to-face members, you know, which are like, oh, where do I find that? Or that's really cool. Or I'm looking for a game to play with my cousins this weekend, you know, like that's the kind of thing we get a lot, like from our members who see us on a regular basis. And so I think I'm going to post some of that stuff up for the listeners and for the members and stuff. So, cool. Let's move on to listener feedback. Hey, so it's time for listener feedback. Is that better? Did you like that one?
I liked it until you just trailed off for like 10 seconds.
I was going to go, it's listener feedback.
Time.
No. All right. So last week on listener
Turn up the croak to 11.
Last week on listener feedback, just real briefly, Russ, you may have heard, we wanted you to discuss Enter the Avenger because it's a game that neither Dan nor myself had ever heard of. So what is Enter the Avenger?
Well, first of all, it was in Worlds Without Master, so
it's all coming together now.
In the folds between some short stories.
I'm giving up to the fact that I've never read it because I've never actually read any of my Worlds Without Masters. Just kind of skim them briefly.
Shame.
I own them all though, so I guess I need to start paying closer attention. Well, that's cool. Okay, so
we
what's
all,
about?
We all know how you feel about reading, so
yeah, it's true.
It's
yeah,
excusable.
I know. But it is short, more manageable chunks. I feel like, and there won't be a movie of any of them soon.
Yeah,
so I should probably read them.
There might be. Yeah, you never know.
It's true. I don't want to sell them short. You never know.
Yeah. But yeah, Enter the Avenger. That could probably be a one-page RPG if you really like condensed it. Cause a lot of it too is kind of like seed ideas for like who the Avenger is, where he's going, stuff like that. But so basically the rules is, you need at least 3 players, but you can kind of spread stuff out more if you have more people. Where one person plays the Avenger, who is some character who you can either make up your own idea or kind of pick from a list of, seed ideas, who is trying to avenge something, family members or, somebody who sold him out or something like that. And so one person plays the Avenger. One person will play the narrator, also the judge and the retribution, and the other person plays the suspect. And so the judge, narrator, and the suspect, get dealt a card to determine how involved that suspect was. Like if he was directly responsible for what the Avenger is trying to get revenge against.
Right, yeah.
Or if he was, only knew about it, but just didn't stop him, or was like totally innocent. And then you kind of role play out this scene. It's very, very improv-y. There's no like dice rolling or anything. But so basically it's just kind of RP mostly between the Avenger and the suspect, with the judge / narrator, playing the world. And, also as the judge, they get to be the conscience or intuition of the Avenger. So they can kind of be like, when he says that he didn't have anything to do with it, you notice kind of a shifty eye movement or something.
I see.
And they're not obligated to be honest either. Like they can base it totally off of like how well the suspect is lying, or how they think the Avenger would perceive it, kind of.
I see.
So then, they kind of just role play it out, trying to suss out how involved this person was. And the Avenger has to eventually decide, do they want to take their vengeance, or do they want to just, leave this person and believe that they were innocent? And then so after they choose that, if they kill him or let him go or whatever, then they can either say that they're satisfied with their justice, or they want to keep pursuing it. And then you kind of do the whole thing again. So yeah, I kind of mentioned that in terms of the secret, since that has the secret of like the guilt of the suspect. And the way they handle it is it's shared with a judge, cause I guess one of the things about secrets are, worried about people manipulating or kind of lying a little bit to get better outcomes for themselves. But I mean, I would be interested in trying it. I don't know if it really, totally answers the problems you guys mentioned last time, because it's not like a traditional kind of game.
Yeah. So, this ties back to our conversation about secrets, right? Yeah.
Right. And last episode.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds kind of like Witch, The Road to Lindisfarne, right? Where the witch character has a secret about whether she's actually guilty or not. So that sounds pretty similar to that. And I mean, I guess secret was okay in that situation. Yeah. I don't know. Speaking of secrets, let's revisit this topic for a bit.
Let's do it. I think 3 weeks spent on this topic is a really great number.
So I think that paranoia works well with player secrets.
You should probably tell listeners what paranoia is.
So paranoia is, it's being remade right now, but it's the sort of old sci-fi, like dystopian future setting where everything is run by like the great computer, right? A friend computer
Big
runs
brother
everything
computer.
inside this complex, and all of the characters are like low level, typically clones who are running around inside this complex trying to follow orders. But they have secrets because there's secret societies like infiltrating the whole complex.
Some of them are mutants.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe the characters are members of this secret society or this secret society. So you go off on these missions, and some characters are going to want to tank the mission like every time because they have orders from their secret society to like, hey, screw this mission up. And so like, I think that works really well because you're kind of like, the whole point of paranoia is that the players should be getting screwed from every direction. So it only makes sense. Like the GM is actively trying to screw over the characters. So it only makes sense that the characters should be trying to screw each other too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to tell a very complex story, right? So it's not it's not like it matters that I don't know you're a communist, and so I'm not going to be able to steer the story in a way that makes your big communist reveal.
Isn't that a game where you can't like really win, right?
Well, you kind of can.
You can beat the computer.
So winning is typically like you successfully carry out your mission and you don't die 5 times while you're doing it. And then like at the end, there's a debriefing basically where you assign blame to all of the dead people.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I've played Paranoia a few times and, I think I agree with that. Like that's a circumstance, a game where secrets do something and they kind of feel appropriate.
Yeah.
So,
and it wouldn't be as much fun if you knew everybody's secret.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, so I only had one other thing for listener feedback. Listener Kristen, who is also our very good friend Kristen, who we game with twice a week. She's more than just listener Kristen, although I love the listeners. There's nothing wrong with just being a listener. So listener Kristen, posted the other day, in relation to, it was inspired by, I think I gather these thoughts were inspired by your Danger Mountain
card.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Changing the dice to cards. So, but she posted this, which I thought was lovely. She says, on the reduction of dice in gaming, I've had a growing problem with my beloved RPGs as of late. Where are all the dice going? I should point out that Kristen she has quite a dramatic flair, which is one of the things we love about her. So, and it makes her a good role player. So this probably sounds very like dramatic. I've had a growing problem with my beloved RPGs as of late. Where are all the dice going? So many games now replace die rolling with drawing cards to the point where I yearn for the opportunity to roll a plain old D6. A D6, by the way, listeners, is a 6-sided die.
What's a die?
Continuing on. When I first started gaming with the Gauntlet, via the now extinct, some other group, I never forgot my bag of favorite dice. Glittery, prismatic, marbled, smoky. Every time I spilled them onto the table in preparation for Dungeon World, I took a moment to enjoy their colors and unique traits, carefully choosing the dice lucky enough to be used that night. Even though my poor D20s never got any love, a little bit of an irony about the Gauntlet someone pointed out to me the other day. I'm going to interrupt her message here for a minute. Our logo is a D20.
Right.
I don't think we've ever played a game that's D20 in it.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened. Sorry, continuing on. Even though my poor D20 never got any love, the others at least had a chance of getting some play depending on which playbook you were using. Over the years, we've played so many wonderful games. We have. And they all have great qualities, but fewer and fewer involve dice. I stopped bringing my dice bag. I wondered from time to time, as I indulged in getting a new polyhedral set, why I even bothered, as they never got used. And then I heard Dan talking about reworking Danger Mountain and losing the die rolls, and my heart cried out, "No, Dan, don't do it. Don't give up on the dice." She says, my heart is very dramatic sometimes. I know I'm not the only one, the only collector out there. I've read the articles regarding the statistical problems with die rolling, the ease of card use, the added benefit of suits for ranking, tie-breaking purposes. Guess what? I don't care about any of that. I don't care if the stats aren't perfect. It's a game, not math. I don't care about ease of use. Is die rolling really that hard? And tie-breaking? It's called a reroll. Fellow Gauntleteers, am I alone in my love affair with dice and my melancholy at their diminishing usage? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I
But now get rid of the dice and let's all just be like hippies telling stories around a campfire and holding hands. That's where I want to go. So.
I want velvet capes. I want velvet capes and white makeup, and we run about in the sewers of your local.
Converting it to a LARPing
Exactly.
club.
That's what I want to do. We LARP all the way. Guess what, Kristen? We're getting rid of the cards too.
Getting rid of the tabletop.
We're getting rid of all of it. I kind of like that. I don't think I have the same, I think I just view dice as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really, I don't think I have like a particular like affection for dice, but I think I kind of see her point. Because I think before I was so heavily like into organizing a bunch of games, I think I cared more about stuff like that. I think the reason why I think maybe I've just become like jaded's not the right word.
Oversaturated.
I think it's just because I'm so focused myself on like making sure we have everything we need for the game at hand. That the last thing I'm thinking about is like my dice, you know. I'm just happy that I remembered to bring dice some days, you know, like never mind like whether they're pretty or not. But
I think that a lot of story games kind of, like you said, like dice are tools for the game. And so you need very particular dice. Cause like this didn't necessarily resonate with me because I'm running a lot of these games. And so I'm like, when I'm reading these games, I'm like, okay, I need, like 20 dice and I need 5 of them in one color and 5 in another color and 5 in another color. And
where
so,
am I
like,
going to get 18 red D4s?
Right.
Yeah.
So I've bought way more dice like in the last couple years than I ever did because like I need all these match sets and now I need like 10 white D10s and 10 black D10s and now I need 9mm dice specifically. So I've got to go buy some of those.
We're looking at you, Helfer Leather.
Yeah. So I actually feel like I've bought more dice recently than I ever did.
Yeah,
but
me too.
yeah,
I
like,
bought tons of dice lately, but not out of some like collector's passion. It's just because the games demand it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like it's definitely like sort of a taking away the dice from the players. Like it's not a thing that the players have to bring. It's a thing that the facilitator provides because there's such specific requirements because you're using colors and like specific sizes and stuff like that.
Well, and that's the thing, right? The games we're playing aren't ditching dice. They're demanding very specific types of dice.
Yeah.
So so I think but I guess to a player it probably feels like, oh, they don't need my dice.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have. Yeah. I recently went through and found like I made a big bag of dice I'll never use, which are all my unmatched crappy dice that I used to use all the time in D&D, but now they don't do me any good because I don't have 20 of them the same color.
Yeah. So. I have to say though, I do kind of like get the whole like the pretty dice thing because I do have several polyhedral sets and they were all like very carefully chosen, right? Like they're all like a certain type of like metallic, right? Like a sort of like they all have like kind of a gold or metallic like thing to them, right? So that was done on purpose. It wasn't, so it's not just a tool. There's an aesthetic to it as well. But anyway, yeah. So I just thought that was kind of fun. I kind of like that. Kristen is a little bit like me. Like she came like from second ed, I think, and so yeah, there's a nostalgia there that I get. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. So yeah, cool. Well, I think that's it for the podcast.
All right.
That was the podcast. So
in podcast now
and now. So if you are, still with us and you want to continue to be with us on Google Plus, you should go to the Google Plus community section and find us there. Just search for the Gauntlet. Again, we will be posting like lots of show notes this time so you guys can see, go find some of these games we talked about and, maybe even some that we didn't talk about. But, yeah, and that's it. Or we have an email as well, gauntletpodcast@gmail.com. So check that out. Russ, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dan, thank you so much for doing the show and making it amazing.
All right.
Do it.
Well, it's very good. Yeah, it's great. So that's it. Bye.
Peace out.